What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing if you're looking for stock market analysis, because I do both technical and fundamental analysis on the given stock market. So, where are we today? Today is interesting. We actually opened up down with a bit of a scare. Being said, I stated this yesterday, is I think with the Fed coming out right at the bell yesterday, essentially saying that essentially securities are at a very cautious level. And then I guess Fed Brainer also got interviewed last week for the possible chair slot. So now we have to see what happens with that. I don't know if that's what's kind of freaked the market out. And then you also had Tesla that just came ripping down. First hour of the day had absolutely just tons of gas to the downside today. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if this is partially due to Elon selling. We don't know that. We could find that out roughly around about 48 hours if was him selling or not. But it's interesting nonetheless. Typically, what I try to do is after earnings is try to avoid those stocks that just had earnings. I try to play the continuation, and then typically if it starts dying out after that, I try to leave it for a couple weeks, let it sit till it finds a base, and then jump back in. And I know Tesla is always great for scalping, but nonetheless, I just wanted to kind of see where that was. We'll let it base out from that point. But going forward, what are we looking at? Tomorrow we got CPI, so it'll be interesting to see what happens overnight. We did have quite a few earnings today, which is something I want to look at. But again, for as far as the general market, we are high, but we are still strong. We're still playing range until it really breaks this 4660 mark. I'm still bullish until it really comes down to here. Then you're talking about possibly more selling. I'm not bearish at all until we get multiple days of selling, which we haven't seen. Normally, SPY kind of gives us that go ahead that is going to sell. And typically what happens, it'll play a range like this and then it'll start slowly falling off. And then you'll get a day where it attempts to try to break again all-time highs, and then it just starts selling. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't like the Fed that came out and just straight said that it didn't like the securities being so high. Yes, we do need a pullback, but there's no real catalyst to sell. Today we had, again, the Fed stuff could be of what people are uncertain of what a Fred Brainer could bring to the table. So that could be cause what's selling, but there's no real true catalyst for selling. So as far as earnings, we did have Coin. Didn't look like they did so hot. They missed expectations, but they're still killing it. They're still making billions of dollars. Their user growth is still growing dramatically. They got the NFTs coming online as well. I'm not sure when that is due. I know the list for that was backed up. So being said, I think Coin actually has a very promising future with crypto, but we'll have to see what essentially happens overnight with Coin. Upstart, same thing. Got crushed again. This is another one I want to watch tomorrow. It's the one I've been talking about for this week. I want to see where it bases tomorrow. Hopefully it actually bases overnight. If it does hold this 241 mark overnight, I want to look to get this and go long. Try to get some time on it because the volatility, I think, will be a lot. Volatility has been rattling around quite a bit in a couple of these different stocks. But again, expectations are essentially around the moon, right? The expectations for these companies are just ridiculous. So when they miss it and they're still making billions of dollars, and their revenue and everything is still 30% year over year and everything, it's ridiculous that it doesn't make it. So again, we'll have to see with Upstart tomorrow. Biggest strength today was definitely Roblox. Roblox is absolute monster, right? The metaverse and everything that's going on. Roblox is definitely going to continue to, I think, can still push a little bit. Last time it hit around that 100, it essentially just traded sideways and then sold. I don't think it's going to push much higher. I think right now a lot of this is still hype from the metaverse, from what Facebook is talking about. There's a lot of hype around metaverse stuff. Metaverse is still a long ways away. But being said, I wouldn't be surprised. I could still look for a continuation second day. Normally second day continuation is much better. So we want to look for that. If there's not, if it starts selling, breaks back down below 100, wouldn't be surprised if it continues to sell for a while. Also depends on the market. I want to see what the market's doing. The banks don't look hot. That's something I noticed today is the banks were doing pretty not too well. We did pop towards the end of the day, but I want to see how they hold up tomorrow. TTD, another monster day. Second day, looking for a possible third day. I know I've got some price target upgrades for 100, I believe. So we want to see how that plays out. MSTR, like I said, MSTR and coin. I really want to see how Bitcoin is holding. Bitcoin did break all-time highs today, 69K. Got kicked back. It looks like we're getting ready to jolt back up way past that here later on. I think the bigger move will probably be this weekend. I'll probably really go parabolic from that point. But I definitely want to see how that is going to play out from that point. And then I think MSTR, and one thing I've been waiting on, I think, again, coin's going to run. This is just temporary. Tomorrow, as long as it holds this 303 mark, essentially holds a zone. I want to actually get in this and hold this long. I think it's a perfect setup going if Bitcoin's going to start running. I think this is kind of just resets everything to allow an entry for that 300, essentially around that 300 mark, and then start running. So this is one of my primaries tomorrow. I've been talking about this for a while. I really like coin. I've been waiting for it to pull back. Now that we had earnings, kind of see where it stands and how the market takes it, and then take it from that point. MSTR has been up, has been pretty high, so that's why I've been kind of waiting for coin to cool off and come down. Snap, this thing has been slowly grinding after earnings. Earnings really kind of devastated this company. They really got to go back to the drawing board on a lot of different things and see how they're going to approach everything. So I want to see how Snap does approach this. Moving forward, e-commerce, strong day, Amazon, strong day. I think there was a lot of rumors talking about a split. Always happens around earnings. I don't know if that's what drove it up ultimately, but e-commerce seems fairly strong. Shop, kind of just trading sideways for the most part. And then SE, just kind of really selling off. Again, a lot of these, TTD, like I said, is doing well. Chips, kind of selling off pretty hard today, getting some pullback. I think with inflation and everything, some of these are pulling back pretty hard. I did take PayPal. Because of its earnings, they got a lot of price target upgrades right towards the end of the day. It was holding this 200 level very well. So I took some calls in this with time because of the fact I think it can pull right back, especially if it starts getting more upgrades. And that's the biggest thing to watch when you're watching earnings is, yes, even like your coins and your coins and everything, right? Even though the stock is down, didn't meet expectations. A lot of times these expectations with the pandemic have just been absurd because these companies are making massive amounts of money and still they're not hitting expectations. So they get all these, they just sell off for no reason, essentially, with these analysis, which are just ridiculous sometimes. And then you come in the morning and there's all these price target upgrades. And so these things just zip right back up, essentially wake back up, back to all-time highs. So that's something I'm looking for in some of these going forward. Now, if these don't pull up, my biggest thing is if they start selling off even more, what is that saying about the market? Now, the market is interesting, right? Because if there's a new Fed chair, the market's not going to know. The market's not going to like that because you're introducing new uncertainty into the market. And so at that point, the market will adjust. The market will sell off until it knows what exactly the Fed's next move is. And then from that point, the volatility may be around again. So we may be seeing a lot of different chop days coming up until we understand what if Fed Brenner is going to be the one. But Powell has to February. Maybe they'll wait till after Christmas. Maybe not till January. We'll actually hear something about that. In my opinion, I think with holidays coming up, we probably won't hear anything until January about the Fed chair spot. So till that point, I think it was just a small pullback because we weren't sure what was going on. We might see a little bit more volatility the rest of the week. We do have core CPI, but again, I don't think any of this stuff is really going to matter. We're already started doing some tapering on bond assets, although the thought and the idea about rate raises twice next year has come up by another Fed member. So that isn't helping the market either. Any kind of news like that is just the market is being really scared about the double rate raises and stuff like that. So I have to see. We'll see what happens with Tesla. Tesla tried to do a day cap bounce today, but had a little bit of a bounce. But I have to see. It's definitely ones that can recover quick. But again, if we get another down day, we'll see. If we get another leg down, we break back below 1,000. I think a lot of the market will probably. I think a lot of the market will probably come back down. So we have to see how that plays out. But being said, Microsoft held well for the most part. Apple held well for the most part. I think that's what kept the market afloat. Facebook, it needs to, I think if it can come back down, I think it'll sell off a little bit more. I think this hype was all the metaverse stuff. But to retest the wedge, I think we can probably see 330, possibly. Might even get that far with 332. So a little bit more selling, and then we could possibly start running towards the end of the week. I think is what's happening. I think there's a lot of uncertainty coming in here, but the markets are strong. I know it's really high, but comments from the Fed and everything, would be surprised if more news comes out to try to drop the market. Could be a possibility, but just keep an eye on Bitcoin, see what Bitcoin does, and then we can make adjustments and go from there. This is why we have the nightly updates, and I do the morning calls on my Twitter handle, Beta Memoirs. Try to give you an insight on what I'm looking at and where the market's going from that point. Because it changes nightly to predict, it's good to have a thesis on where the market could be going. Try to think of all possibilities, but ultimately you got to have some thesis going into the foreseeable future. You don't want to be too far ahead because you'll never know. You take it day by day, but you want to have a thesis for the week, which can change again. Every night, new news can come out, black swan events, whatever the case is, and your whole plan will be changed. You'll have to reformulate a new plan in the morning, and that's what I did today. Today, I actually shorted SPX. I waited for quite a while. I think I waited till actually 10 o'clock before I even took a position today, and then with all the news of the Fed and everything the banks were creating, all big tech started pulling back like I wanted to sell off. And so SPX just, it took a nosedive very fast. And then I captured that scalp. And then that was pretty much it for me today. I pretty much held and waited until the end of the day where I picked up PayPal on the price target upgrade and it holding that 200 level. So we'll see. And if you made it this far, thank you, and hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.